This is Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 291. Welcome to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Well, hello, all my dear friends, and how are you today? Well, I want to tell you a little bit about how I am, because I know a lot of you know that maybe about 7 weeks ago now, I fractured my elbow when I was out hiking, and I have really good news to report. My bone is completely healed. I'm not wearing the splint anymore. The doctor gave me the okay. He said, you can take your splint off, and now you have no restrictions. That was such good news because for the last 6 weeks, I've had a splint on that's removable. Can you get over that? I don't know that much about broken bones. I know I'm a doctor, I'm a chiropractor, but I haven't dealt with broken bones very much. And so I really don't know all the theory and all the advancements that have been made. But oh my gosh, this was such a great time to break my bone because they have so many advancements. So from the moment that I broke my bone, I had to let it heal for a little bit. But then I was in therapy within no time moving my elbow, even though it was broken. And that's because they're so advanced. And I know I have a little bit of hardware in my elbow, but maybe that's a good thing because I can start moving it. Anyway, here I am. My bone is healed thanks to my good doctor and the help that he received to help me. And then also to myself, because I've done a lot of hard work, not just on the physical activity of what I have to do with my elbow itself, because listen, it hurts. And even though it hurts, I have to do things with it that hurt, that make it hurt worse. I don't know if you've ever done that before, because usually I've talked a lot about being a body whisperer. So I've always been about when you feel pain and it gets beyond a -2, like I talk about the pain scale from a 0 to a 10 in the negative numbers. And I like to listen to those whispers of pain and do something about it when it's not really bad. So, -10 can be the strongest pain and -2 is the whisper of pain. I have always advised my chiropractic patients that that's really a good time to be proactive about your pain. It's a good time to get a chiropractic adjustment, when it's not really bad. So here I am being a body whisperer, talking about all about being a body whisperer. And now I have to create this strong pain. And it's actually a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It just blows my mind because it's so different from my own philosophy. But when it comes to this, I still have to pay attention to my body, but I have to pay attention to the pain. And when I feel that pain, I have to go beyond it. I have to push it. I have to do assisted type stretching, where I can stretch it as much as I can. And then I have to push it even harder. And all of that hurts. It's like if I was going to a -2, I wouldn't be doing very much and I wouldn't be making any progress. So I think that's just something to keep in mind, that being connected to your body, sometimes things switch around and you have to accommodate yourself. Like for instance, for me in this case, I still am a body whisperer. So now that what I'm listening to my body is actually very, very different, because when I push it and create more motion, that pain is a good sign and not a bad sign. So it's always important to be very, very aware of what's going on with your body and what's helpful and what's not. And for the most part, becoming a body whisperer, there's not a better time to become a body whisperer than as you're going through menopause. Because if you don't know your body by now, Don't think you're going to get into your 70s, 80s, and 90s without being connected. So it's a really good time to get connected and to realize that sometimes the rules change. And as long as you and your body are connected, it's all good. And, the doctor even said to me, because he says, well, listen, I have no rules anymore. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want with your arm. It's like, oh my gosh. So I go from not being able to use it at all other than to stretch it and to exercise it, only when the splint is off, which is a few times a day, to here, take the splint away. You can do whatever you want. You know what? You could get in a little bit of trouble with that too. And I'll tell you what, the first day, I think I did get into a little bit of trouble because it's like I went from not having a right arm to having a right arm. And all the things that it started doing that it could do, but it hasn't done anything for 6 weeks. So I had to really start putting really special attention. Should I do this yet? Should I wait a little bit? Should I push off a little bit? And at the same time that I'm doing my exercises and I got to increase the pain. So in many ways, I have to be more connected to my body than ever, but also be really grateful to medicine and to my surgeon who was so gifted in the surgery that he did in my elbow because it took more hardware than he expected. I don't know how he did it, but I have an elbow that functions, that will function, and it needed help. And I would say probably 50, 100 years ago, I'm sure that would not have been the case. So I'm really grateful. And I'm also grateful that I know how to be a body whisperer, that I'm teaching you how to be a body whisperer, and to realize that sometimes the rules change. And in the end, just like the doctor said to me, you have to listen to your body. I'm not giving you any restrictions. You have to listen to your body. You have to know your own restrictions, and you have to know when it's time to go beyond them. So I'm going to keep talking to you about that as I'm learning to use my right arm again and to know when to push it and when to back off and when the pain is good and when the pain is not good. Really quite the lesson, which also leads me to what I want to talk to you about today. So a lot of you realize, if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, that one of the tools that I use a lot are food journals. And if you've never seen my food journals, because I really want you to realize that the food journals that I use and how I use them with my clients is like nothing you have ever done before. I even hate to call them food journals. In fact, I am going to create a new name for them because it's not like anything. I don't really care what you're eating, even though you write down what you eat. But really what I teach you and what I'm most concerned about is what your physical hunger scale is at and what your emotional hunger scale is at. And when the physical hunger scale, when it's time to stop eating, what is motivating the brain, hence the body, to put something in the mouth when the body has said stop, is really the purpose of this special kind of food journaling. And that's where all of my coaching comes in, is on the journaling on these numbers. And so much pops up about this. And that's what I wanted to talk to you a little bit about today, because I just finished up with one of my most beloved clients. And I know you hear me say that all the time, but she is one of my beloved clients. I love her. And she's been so vulnerable with me. And she hired me because she had maybe 10 pounds to lose. And what she was concerned about wasn't the 10 pounds, because she's been listening to my podcast, but she was concerned that she was overeating at night, nighttime eating, and eating Joy Eats without being mindful. And she had been through a lot of changes over the last year. She had moved to another country. Her mother had passed away. A lot of things had happened. And she was really wanting to hire me to explore what was causing this nighttime stuff. And what I want to say to you, because I would say nighttime eating is one of the biggest symptoms that I see with extra weight and with extra emotional hunger, negative emotional hunger, usually will show up after 5 o'clock. So it's not uncommon. But what I want to say about that to you is this, that what you're eating, what you're putting in your mouth, I have so little concern about. And I know that when you're writing it down, you have a big concern about writing it down because you know you don't want to be eating it, you shouldn't be eating it, and you think all these things about you. But because she was really willing to explore, she really wanted to understand what was going on. Her food journals were exquisite. I mean, she had everything down. She had all of her numbers down and all of her thoughts and feelings about it. So I could really do some pretty deep coaching, which that's what you want from me, is you want me to look at your food journals and you want me to ask you those questions that's going to help you dig deep into why you're putting anything in your mouth at night when you're not hungry and why at night. So I want to tell you a little bit about her aha moments in this, because I think it'll help you understand that it's not just food journaling, like what are you eating or how many calories something is. It really is the why behind what you're doing and what that brain is pushing you to do that you're not willing to look at. So with her, this is really what we found out and what I want you to look at is that I had looked at her nighttime eating for a while on food journals, and we had had some discussions. And then on one of our coaching sessions, I started talking about, well, how tired were you? Because this was at night. And she has a big job. She works a lot of hours. She puts a lot of time into her job or to anything she does. And we really hadn't looked at how she was spending her time and her job and all of that. But this is what I did. And this is something that you can do for yourself too. If you're eating at night, one of the things that you can explore is I talk about a physical hunger scale going from a -10 to a +10. So -10 is starving and a +10 is full. And I ask you to go between the twos. Well, you can also do, instead of like a food journal for food, you could do a sleep journal for your numbers on how tired you are. So a +10, you could be 100% invigorated, and a -10, you're ready to fall down and die. So what I started asking her, and I've done this with other clients, but with her, it was even more revealing. Really gave her a lot of aha moments and me as I was asking these questions, because we don't just eat chocolate at night because chocolate tastes good, even though it does, right? If you like chocolate. But if you're not hungry or it's not planned or you're not doing mindfully, then there is something going on in your brain that you need to explore. And for her, once we started talking about this tired scale, I asked her to give me a number with how tired she was when she was having these nighttime eating episodes. And I said -10 is going to be your most tired, 0 is going to be neutral, because we know she wasn't in the plus numbers because it was at night and she knew she was tired. But here's the thing, when she really started honing in on these numbers, she was finding that these numbers, when she was eating, when she wasn't hungry, and it was a joy eat when she wasn't mindful, is that she was at a -7 or a -8 in how tired she was. And that is very interesting, because I bet there's a lot of you out there that are very, very tired, have those strong numbers, and somehow think that that emotional hunger, that hole, because it's a hole, big hole, -8, -7, somehow putting food into that hole is going to make you feel less tired. And that's where she had been living. She had been making herself stay up later to do things that she really didn't want to be doing, didn't need to be doing, wasn't using her time the way she really needed it. And so she was trying to do things when she should have been sleeping. And so food seemed like such a fantastic idea, hence the nighttime eating. So this is the first aha moment is, hey, what do you do when you're at a -8? Eat or sleep? Well, the answer is obvious. Sleep. But you know what's not obvious is that she didn't realize that she couldn't let herself go to sleep, even though her body was specifically saying, you need to go to bed. -7, -8 is you don't pass go, stop and get in bed. And she was pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and eating when she wasn't hungry. So the first aha is what the heck am I doing? And why am I doing it? From that moment, it then led to why she's working more hours, why she's taking on more clients, which led to a lot of thoughts and feelings she had about other things that had been going on in her life for a while, which I'm not going to mention because it's private, but something that was very important for her to look at and something she had been in therapy about. And it was something she mentioned to me at the beginning, but we really hadn't touched on it until this nighttime eating came about. So it's like the nighttime eating revealed you're tired, your body's saying, put me to bed. You don't listen to it. Your body says it's not hungry. You don't listen to it. And then on top of it, she has all of these other feelings, really negative emotions about an incident that happened in her life that is pushing her to overwork. Now, those are big aha moments for her. And I bet they could be big aha moments for you. Now, I'm telling you, sometimes the only way to get to this is to have a coach. You can't see it. She couldn't see it. She knew she was overeating at night. She knew she didn't want to be doing it. She knew it tasted good, but she didn't know why. And it's the extra 10 pounds that she had on her that was a motivation to hire me. But it was the nighttime eating that really interested her because she wanted to get and uncover it, which is why she hired me, because she knew that I'm the great detective. I am a great coach and I am a detective, and I can see that food always leads to other things. It's never about the food. And that's what I always tell you guys. It's like if you go get my food journals at drdebbutler.com/change, you can get my whole companion podcast book, but food journals are in there. And you can listen to some of my older podcasts, like right in the beginning where I explain food journals a little bit, and I might do it again. But the food journals are there to help uncover things. And this client that I'm talking to you about today uncovered, it was like the top of a mountain, and we uncovered everything that was underneath of it. And today was her last session, and she's so grateful because it's like we've been peeling an onion. And she's starting to get enough sleep now because we've looked at that. She's not nighttime eating anymore because she's not trying to eat when she's tired. And she's also really looking at some of the things that have happened to her and how she really has to do some healing from that too, because it's also emotional hunger that's making her do things with food that she doesn't want to be doing, and with her own physical body, with sleep. But it's all because of the way the mind is thinking and what it's saying and the feelings that it's creating. And I will tell you, shame can be a big thing in this, and I'm not going to go into it, but I will tell you that did go into this whole thing on top of it all. So she's a very happy client at this point. She's lost the 10 pounds that she gained. She's not nighttime eating anymore. But bigger than that, she has such a better feel for what's going on in her mind, in her body, and in her life, and how she's really healing. And that is why I say this is life-changing. Putting a piece of chocolate in your mouth at night is one thing. What it uncovers with excellent coaching is totally another thing. That's what I do. I don't tell you what to eat. I tell you what is going on beneath all of that so that you can see it, and then you can change it. It really is life-changing. Food journals are life-changing. Food journals, we don't use them so we can see specifically what you're eating, but we use food journals to find out that you can start connecting numbers to your own physical body. We start with physical hunger and fullness, but like I did with this client, we started using the scale for tiredness. And like what I'm talking to you about with my elbow, pain, numbers, what they mean, what do I do with it? How do I pay attention to my body? How do I connect? This mind-body connection is important. You're not going to get past 50 without a good mind-body connection. Most people come to me for this mind-body connection because of weight gain. Your weight gain is the least of the problems, but it will uncover the big problems so that the next half of your life can be better than ever. Okay, you've heard me. If this resonates with you, I do many sessions with people to find out if I would be a good coach for you, if I would be able to do what I did for this client. I know when I talk to people if I can or I can't. She knew when she talked to me and had a mini session, she knew I could help her, but I also knew I could help her too. And of course, she was right. I did because we both believed I could. So all you have to do is go to drdebbutler.com/work with me, and you can set up a mini session. And, I didn't mention it today as I'm talking about this client, but let me tell you how often self-compassion has come into this, even with food journaling. Being able to journal what's going on with you from a food perspective is not easy if you're judging yourself. But if you can have more compassion and curiosity as you're starting to look at things, that's where all these aha moments are. You have to give yourself the space to be able to do that. And it all starts with self-compassion, being kind to yourself. No matter what you see in your food journal, you're kind to yourself and you say, if you're willing to write it, now you can look at it and now we can get help. And it's okay, sweetheart, whatever we see, it's okay. So what I want to offer you today, before I get off, is the same thing I offer you at the end of every podcast. But don't forget, as soon as you get off this call with me, that whatever you do, wherever you go, please, please, please be kind to yourself, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye. If you've been loving my podcast, please, please, please subscribe, and also please, please, please review if you're loving it. The way you heard about it is the way many people hear about it. They Google it or they look for it, and the only way that it pops up is by who reviews it. So if you're loving it, let's pass on the good word and the good news. Thank you.